Awesome. We are live, and I just want to say hello to everybody who's going to come in, watching from home, with or without clothes on, whatever. Do your thing. I just want to say hello and welcome to Comic Spot. This is interview number 738, trying to get to 1,000 before the end of the year. And I want to give a real big shout out to my one and only sponsor, which is the Veterans of Comedy. Hey, Will C. and Eric Knowles, thank you for letting me in and be having my back. I got your 6. Maybe not the 6 you're thinking of, but I got your 6. Anyway, guys, I just want you to know that anytime you have anybody that has a story to tell who's an entertainer, send them my way. I'll interview their socks off. And that's what we're about to do today, because this show was started so that little old me could get on here with all my spare time and let you get to know comedians off stage. So you could say, man, I like a guy that wears a black t-shirt. I might want to go see his show. That you get that opportunity today to get to know a guy with a black t-shirt. Yeah, let me read you the intro, because today your esteemed guest is a veteran of comedy himself. He's a veteran. He has put the time in. He's done all the work, and great things are happening to him. So let's do the intro of the gentleman in the other square, Bruce Leonard. Ready, Bruce?
Hello.
Just so that one of the dogs. Here's his intro. Bruce Leonard is, well, no one really knows. In the early 2000s, from Cincinnati, Ohio, he established himself as one of the best young comics in the Midwest, opening for heavyweights like Greg Warren, Greg Hahn, Roy Wood Jr., Dave Chappelle, Mitch Hedberg. When Hedberg tragically passed away, Leonard quit comedy and walked away. After a 4-year hiatus, he returned to comedy and totally rebuilt himself from scratch, honing his unique style into an even sharper edge. He then moved to Las Vegas, where he now resides, and is again one of the fastest rising comedians on the scene, working clubs, casinos, and bars all over the West. Now he is poised once again to take that style all over the country. Look for him in your town soon. I'm so happy to welcome you to get to know somebody I love in the Vegas comedy scene. He's been friendly to me since the day I got here. Bruce Leonard. Woo!
Thank you. Thank you for having me here.
I'm so happy you're here. Thanks for coming and taking time.
I'm glad to be here. Thank you.
Yes. What's been going on for you lately in the Vegas world?
Well, I moved here 3 years ago, but as you know, being here, one of the years we were completely shut down, so we couldn't do anything. So yeah. I came, I was working, I had a lot of momentum going. Then the pandemic happened, shutdown happened, no comedy for a year. Then we came back, and I wondered what would happen if I would slip back down or what, because I hadn't been here very long. But what happened was somehow I rose up.
Man.
And now I'm doing better than before. And I quit my day job, put in my notice last week, and I'm about to go on the road.
Yes. Are you doing a tour, or are you just going to start going on the road?
Well, I started already booking kind of a tour through Texas, through some of my friends, Irma Ruiz and Sharita and Jay LaFar. Between those three, they're going to help me put together. I already got a weekend set up, and then I'm going to build another week or two around that.
Wonderful. Texas is gonna, you're perfect for Texas.
I will see.
Yeah.
One of my heroes from there, so.
Who's your hero?
Bill Hicks.
Ah.
He's from Texas.
You said he's one of them. Who are the others?
I've always been influenced by comics that talk about real stuff. So like my chain of influences is pretty straightforward, like Lenny Bruce, Richard Pryor, George Carlin, Bill Hicks, Doug Stanhope. Those are really the big people that are the people that influence me personally. And I'm trying, if you want to, there's so many classifications of comedy. There's so many different kinds of comedy.
There are. I get tired of the judgmental people that say, she's not funny. That wasn't funny. Oh, it might not be funny to you, but it's funny to somebody.
Comedy's like music. It's very subjective. What's good for some is not good for others. Like, that's why I don't like comedy contests. There's too many different kinds of comedians to judge them all in the same narrow category, I believe, personally. It's like music. There's different genres,
Yes.
Like what Charlie does, my girlfriend, is not what I do. You know what I mean? Like,
yes.
It doesn't mean that either one is valid or invalid, It's all about your own personal tastes and the expression of the artist who's performing.
Yes. Like Charlie, your girlfriend, Charlie Hester, she does song parodies that are hilarious.
Yes, like there's her stuff behind me here. Her keyboard, her accordion, she got ukuleles laying around, But me personally, I prefer comedy that's real. Like if you've seen me enough, I don't really make anything up. Everything is real that I talk about. Like, it's just my observations of things that are real. Like, I don't believe that you have to make up stuff. Life is absurd enough.
Yes.
You don't really need to enhance it,
Thank you. People tell me all the time that I should make stuff up. And, and I'm like, I'm sorry. I'm into telling the truth. I can remember the truth. I can't remember lies.
Right, exactly. I mean, some people you ever seen, some comedians, their whole persona is a character, and most of everything that they're saying is not real at all. It's all made up. It's all fiction, which I'm not dismissing that. I'm just saying, personally, I prefer the social commentating comedian who's talking about the world around him.
Yes.
Like, that's always what turned me on.
So I want to go back in your life, because every time I see you, every time I see a picture of you, I'm not a psychic by any chance of the word at all. But when I see you, I don't think you've had an easy life. I think that you have probably had, well, everybody's had trials, but I want to hear your story. Every time I see your pictures, I don't want you on here just to be interview 738. I want you on here because I want the world to hear your story. So, like, I just own a little slice of the world.
Right.
Let's be serious. But I want to hear it. When you grew up, like, were you quiet and shy and all of a sudden became this funny? Or where did funny start? Who encouraged it in your home and school and childhood?
Well, my father is pretty funny. My mom is funny too, but in a different way. She's got a really like dry sense of humor. My dad is more like me, or I'm more like my father, I should say. But I also used to listen incessantly to albums. Like when I was a child, when I was a kid, my parents would fight a lot. Well, they got divorced, but eventually, they would fight a lot. And so when they would fight, I would get the record player, put on albums and the headphones and just go away and listen to music. And I used to listen to stand-up comedy. I used to love Steve Martin. When I was in the second grade, I impersonated Steve Martin talent show.
Wow.
My mom has pictures of me.
Oh my
He
goodness.
rented me the white suit, and I had the balloons and the arrow in the head, and I did his jokes. And what's funny is I didn't do comedy again after that until I was like 30 years old because I thought I was going to be a musician. I went away from home when I was like, as soon as I graduated high school, I moved to Florida and started trying to, I didn't try, I did join a rock band. And I played in a rock band from the time I was like 20 years old to the time I was like, for the mid 30s. When I first started doing comedy, I was still in a band, so I was doing both. But I was in these loud rock bands, yelling and screaming, you know. When I was doing it for like 10 years and I started to turn 30, I realized, well, this might not work out for me. You know, I haven't made it yet. And I'm gonna come close a couple times, but never quite. Being in a band is a lot different because your future is attached to other people. Other people's decisions affect your life, whereas they shouldn't. So when I turned 30, I started looking around, was like, well, what else can I do? You know, because I've always been a performer. I've been on stage, like I said, since I was a kid. I did the talent show thing, and then I was in the band all through school. So I was in a high school band, it was, you know, the concert band, the marching band. So I always performed. And then I went to rock bands. I've been on stage my whole life, basically. So when I turned 30, I started looking around and what else could I do? I thought about acting, you know, all the things that you think about. And then I don't know why it never really occurred to me. Comedy never really occurred to me as like a career, you know, something you could do. I guess because I was so focused on music, I never really thought about it. Mm-hmm. But then I was like, hey, I could do that. And the club at home had a bringer, open mic. You bring 5 people, you can get on stage. Well, I could bring 5 people, you know, just bring the guys in my band and a couple friends, you know, my girlfriend or whatever. And I had 5 people. So I signed up and I did that. But the first time I did it, I knew right then. I was like, I should have been doing this.
Wow.
Because I was really good at it right away. And I couldn't figure out why until I thought about it later. Was like I said, all the times that I had grown up and listened to all those records, memorized those records, and I could do those routines. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So I had studied comedy. It was in my subconscious. I had already studied. You know what I mean? I knew about timing and setups and just from listening to hours and hours of comedy. So I realized right away, I was like, hey, I'm good. I'm pretty good at this. If I focus myself, I could do this. So I just focused myself, started doing it. I used to sit in front of the television with a notebook and just write stuff down. And anytime I would see something, I'd just write something down. I had notebooks full of like, you know, just random thoughts. And then you just go through them and figure out what you can use, what you can't, you know. I never really write my stuff out.
Wow.
I usually would write like something I saw and then like a punchline of some sort, like what's the joke? And then I take it to the stage and then I work it out. I figure it out, you know. And now I'm at the point now where I don't even really write anything down hardly.
And you keep coming up with new stuff.
Yeah. I have champagnes every week. So I use that as a writing tool for myself. So I just go there, any ideas that I have in my head, I'll just start trying to work them out. And if it gets laughs, I'll go, okay, I can pursue this one. You know, if it doesn't, then I just chuck it.
Yes. Well, so the very first time you went to a professional comedy club and got on stage, how did it go? It was great the first time you brought 5 people?
Oh, it was amazing.
Wow.
No, it was really good. I couldn't even believe it myself. I was like, I don't know what's going on.
Wow.
But this is great, you know.
And you got to tour with all these people. You got to open for names that, oh my gosh. How did
I've been very lucky in that respect. Well, see, this is the deal, is like my story said, like from that moment that I just told you, I built a career and I quit working and I was a touring comic. And that's what I was just featuring. I wasn't headlining. And I would do the road and then I would come back and I'd work at the Funny Bone down at, it's on the banks of the Ohio River across from Cincinnati in a place called Newport, Kentucky. And they had a Funny Bone there. And I was MC there. And that's where I got to open for lots of people. That's where I opened for Chappelle. That's where I met Mitch Hedberg. And Mitch Hedberg was like, why are you here in this shit the whole town? Like, why are you not out, you know, in Hollywood or somewhere, you know, like you shouldn't be here. And I was like, well, I don't really know how to get out of here. You know, like I'm making all this up as I go along, you know, like as most comedians, there is no school that tells you how to be a comedian. You know, you got to figure it out on your own. I mean, there's classes and things, but like, they don't really, you know, it's all about networking and meeting people and having connections and, you know, having a little bit of talent helps. But it's not something, like I said, there's not a university course that teaches you how to do this. You know, it's all you figure it out on your own.
Yes.
So he was like, I don't know why you're here, blah, blah, blah. Give me your phone number. And we exchanged phone numbers and, you know, you do that all the time. Sometimes you never hear from these people, you know. So I didn't think anything about it. And like a couple of days later, I was sitting somewhere and my phone rang and I looked at my phone and it was Mitch Hedberg.
Oh my God.
And he was like, oh, you need to come out here to Nashville and open up for me at Zany's, you know.
Gosh.
No. Sorry.
That must
Anyway,
wow, what a.
and so I started working with him and we became friends. And all of this for somebody from, you know, Cincinnati, Ohio, all of this is surreal. You know, like here's a guy that is a famous guy and also is a great comedian that everybody thinks is legendarily great. And he's my friend all of a sudden, you know, and he never treated me like I was less than him or, you know, he treated me like an equal, which was very crazy as well. You know, he used to tell me all that kind of stuff all the time. He would be like, you're the real deal. You know, you gotta know that. You gotta, you know, don't let anybody tell you, you know, like, and he'd tell me all these stories about how people didn't listen, you know, people didn't pay attention to him. Because, you know, if you know him, he's very unusual. And what he was doing was very different. And for a long time, nobody really paid attention to him. And he told me all these stories about how he got fired from working with these bookers, you know, and he'd be like, don't ever let anybody tell you, you know, how to do this. You got it. Just do what you're doing and keep your head down, you know, like. And so that's what I've always taken that advice.
Do you think that's good advice for every comedian?
I do.
Thank you.
I do.
Because there are so many people out there that try to shake your confidence, you know, and only want to build themselves up.
Yeah, but that, you know, those people, I don't have time for negativity anymore.
Yeah, exactly.
In my life, I try to keep positive.
Other people, and you are so positive, other people have come into your life and you've opened for them. Speak to some of the other people you got. What was it like with sharing a stage with Dave Chappelle?
1 second.
Okay.
That was amazing too. It's very surreal. What happened was, you know, he lives in Yellow Springs, Ohio, which is right outside of Dayton, Ohio. So what happened was when he left the Chappelle show and disappeared, nobody knew where he was. It was a huge, big story. And
Huge.
he was gone for a while. Nobody knew anything. Well, when he came back to Ohio, what he did was he called the Funny Bone down in Cincinnati, and he said, I want to do a weekend of shows, but I don't want them to be advertised, and only advertise it from the stage the week before. So like the MC announced that he's going to be there, and that's it. So word of mouth was the only advertisement. Well, I happened to be working that week, so they told me that I have to say that Chappelle's going to be here next week. I said, okay, so I did that. And then after they were like, do you want to open up for him? I was like, well, of course. Because he didn't have a feature. He was just him. So it was just going to be a host and him. And they were like, do you want to do it? And I was like, yes. So, of course, I want to do it.
Oh my God.
But it was weird because I knew that he was going through a weird time. So I didn't really talk to him very much. I didn't want to be that guy that was like, hey, how are you? I saw your life just fell apart, but, could you help me out? So I didn't really talk to him that much, but I did get to meet him and I did get to perform with him. And that's enough for me, But I've gotten, I said I've been very lucky. Like, I've just been lucky. So
what's some of the weirdest things that have happened to you on the road, or funniest? You got some funny stories from all these travels you've done?
You would think that, but I was always kind of businessy. There is something that's funny. One time, I was in Tennessee, and I was doing this show. I don't even remember where it was. Charleston's West Virginia. Chattanooga. I was in Chattanooga doing this like one night room that's in a hotel. And I did really good. I was selling DVDs. This girl, And I'm like, this is great. And I laugh and I go home, and the guy that books the show tells me that the guy there said that I was one of the worst comedians he'd ever seen.
Oh my God.
And I was like, did I accidentally fuck his girlfriend? Because it couldn't have been that they didn't like me. Because the crowd seemed to like me just fine. He was like a rabbity conservative who just didn't like anything I was saying. But I thought it was funnier to think that maybe I banged his girlfriend on accident.
What are some of the important lessons you want to pass on to younger comics that you've learned?
Like I said earlier, do what you do. Don't let anybody tell you, it's like we were discussing earlier, like some people won't get what you're doing, some people will. I think that the more people that don't get what you're doing, you're probably onto something original. And that's my real belief. I think that comedy is an art like any other art. Like I've always been an artist. I just pivoted to whatever art I was doing, But I look at comedy as art, and like I said, again, it's the expression of the individual artist. So I would not let anybody tell you how to do your comedy. Like, if you ever notice, I don't tell anybody how to do comedy. I host open mic. I don't walk up to people and give them unsolicited advice, or like whatever. It's like, it's not my business to tell people how to do what they're doing. I think that every comedian should follow their own voice. That's the secret of comedy.
I love that advice. I agree 1,000%.
Is to find your own voice, your own perspective, and tap into that. When you can project that outward, then you're on to something. Now, whether, like I said, if your inner voice is silly and, or whatever it is, if you can tap into your own personality and project that outward, that's the secret to making great comedy, I believe, and unique. No one can copy you.
Yes.
That's why I always laugh. I mean, people talk about people stealing, material, and people do it. I won't say they don't do it, but I say the more you can write these jokes in your voice, they can try to steal them, but they won't be able to pull it off. You know what I mean? If the material is truly yours,
yes,
they won't be able to take it from you.
Beautiful. So
they can try, but they won't get away with it.
No. What do you do when you go through a dry spell where you're not able to write jokes, or you're not being all that funny on stage, or things are bothering you? What do you do, Bruce, to pull yourself out of a funk?
That's what's weird, is I don't really have those funks anymore. I used to be really like bipolar, like very moody, up and down. But as I've gotten older, my mother even says all the time, she's always like, it's like you're a different person now. Like, I'm much more focused. That's another thing, is if I go to open mic or something and I bomb, I don't carry it with me when I walk off. And like, that's one thing I would tell comedians, young comedians, is bombing is not the end of the world. You don't have to carry it with you. You can learn something from it, but it doesn't mean that you suck or your career is over. Comedy is the only art that you can't practice it at home. I mean, you can try, but it doesn't work. You need the audience, you need the feedback of the audience to know if what you're doing is good or not. It's not like a song or where you can write it, practice it, record it, perfect it, and then present it to people. If you could do all that at home with comedy and then go to the club and realize that everything you just worked on was shit. Very easily. It happens all the time. When I first came back, I had this, that's the thing, is when I first came back, I had this idea that I was going to be, I would try to be like George Carlin, where I write these big long pieces and memorize them, and then I would just go on stage and just chuck it out, But then I realized that doesn't work. I mean, it might work for him, but it didn't work for me. You wind up cutting half of it, or you just take half of it out, and then it gets replaced with something else. The more you do it, then the more I realized that for me, it's just easier for me if I just start with an idea and then just work it out on stage, and then the more I do it, the more I'll come up with a line, another line, and add stuff, and then it starts small and it starts to grow. The more times you do it.
Kind of an organic process rather than out of a cookie cutter cookbook.
Yes.
Class.
Yes. And I use an audience. And I said, and then I can tell what works, what doesn't work.
How do you read a room? let's say you're at a real show and you're the headliner and you've never seen this club or these people, this scenario before, and you have in mind what you're sort of going to say, and you go up there, and what do you look for in a crowd to modify what you're going to say? Do you
I don't.
Okay, let's hear about that.
I always go, this is the act. This is what you get. This is what I'm selling.
I like that.
I don't change what I'm doing for where I'm at. What you have to understand too is where I came from up in the Midwest. You know, we've did comedy wherever. So I've done comedy in Elks Lodges, Moose Lodges, VFW halls, bars, you know, like there's been 100 times when I've stared out at and gone, these people are going to hate me. But they didn't.
Oh, wow.
But you know what I mean? And there's no way these people will like me, but they wind up liking me anyway somehow. I don't know how, you know.
You know, there's
one time a guy came up to me and he said, and this is the best compliment I ever got ever. A guy come up to me and he said, you know what? I don't agree with anything you just said, but it was funny.
That's hilarious.
And I was like, well, that's the fucking job, isn't it?
That's it.
Well, I don't understand these guys who get all mad now and act like they're getting canceled somehow for some shit that they said, you know, and I'm like, you're getting canceled because you're just an angry prick. There's nothing funny about it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like if you were funny, you could get away with it. And I could point to you to 100 dudes to get away with it. Bill Burr crosses every line all the time and gets away with it. Why? Because he's funny. That's why.
So funny. I heard him talking about women complaining that he doesn't do enough shows with women. And he said, go start your own shows and leave me alone. And it was so funny.
Exactly. I'm just saying he could get away with it because he's funny.
Yes.
A lot of these guys that are complaining and bitching, they're not funny. It's like, well, you're missing the key element.
Exactly.
Which is, you have to be funny. You have to, if you can sneak your opinion in there, that's good. But the job of the comedian is to make people laugh. If I'm just standing up there spouting off, you know, whatever I think about whatever, and it's not, I'm just preaching to the audience. I'm not, where's the jokes? You know, there better be a joke somewhere.
Yes.
People aren't laughing. You're not doing your job.
What's with the ego where they think they can tell an entire story through their whole 5-minute open mic set that has a punchline at the end because it's just going to kill.
Right. Exactly.
I get tired of all the egos that are in comedy. It's just like, just go up and just don't try to compete. Just do your job.
Well, that's why I say I don't look at it like that. There's too many different kinds of comedians to compare yourself to everybody or to put everybody in the same category. I say it's like music. It's like there should be subgenres of different kinds. There's one-liner comics. There's impersonator comics. There's storytelling comics. You know, there's George Carlin comics. You know, there's all different kinds. So to put them all in a line and say we're going to judge these people, you know, like to me is asinine.
Stupid. It makes no sense at all.
No.
Like
and the contest always just ends up in some fucking bitch fest where somebody's mad. They thought they should have won, you know, or
who brings the most people to vote for
that too. I used to have a show like that at the Funny Bone when I came back and I was building myself back up. And once I had done a bunch of mics, I was like, okay, I'll go to these shows. And it was one of those shows where the audience votes and the winner would win $50. And every week I would come in second place.
Oh.
And I would only bring my girlfriend with me. And the guy that ran the show said to me, he goes, you know what, man? Every week you come here, you don't bring anybody. And you always get second place. He's like, to me, that's better than winning.
Totally. That is so cool. Have you ever
And
been
then once I won, and like even the guy's friends had to vote for me.
That's what I was gonna say. I bet you did that. That's awesome. That's really winning a contest.
Right.
Yeah.
Most of the people that won were the people that brought all the people. It's
Why?
like, oh, here's a waitress who brought all of her, coworkers, and then she would win because she'd have the most votes. Then they'd be like, second place, Leonard.
So tell me, I want to ask a serious question, and then I need to kind of close out the session and ask you your social media and where people can follow and where you're going to be performing around the country.
Sure.
But before we do that, I have a very serious question. It's what is it that you're trying? Why do you care that people laugh? Before the pandemic, what made you want to elevate people to laughter or take them out of pain? I just feel like you have a serious answer there that I want to hear.
Because laughing is all you can do. Look around you. Look at this world. There's so much tragedy and sad thing. It's easy to get sucked into all that. The comedian's job is to make you forget about all that. Or point out the absurdity of it so that maybe you walk away from it. If you would ask me, like, is there a grand scheme, or like, I never really thought about it until just now you asked this question, but there was a grand scheme of like what you're trying to do and what you're talking to people and what you're trying to say. I would say that, like, is that the world is absurd and there's nothing you can do about it. So the best thing you can do is just laugh and move on. Because
that's funny right there.
Other than that, it'll bring you down, all of it.
Yes. So you were talking about your childhood with your parents fighting all the time and how you turned on comedy albums on headphones. My family
or music.
My parents did nothing but fight, and I used to sit and try to figure out what I could say that was funny to get them to forget the fight.
That too.
So that's what.
That's another thing is humor. Before I did comedy, I always knew that humor can disarm people. When people are coming at you in a negative way or an aggressive way or whatever, like anything. Humor can disarm it.
Yes.
Or like at work, like I have a really hard job and everybody's having a bad time. If you can make some jokes and make them laugh, it makes everybody get through the day easier. Like laughter just makes everything better. It turns everything around.
It does.
You can take something completely dark and negative and turn it into a positive with comedy. If you're a good enough writer, you can take tragedy and make it funny.
Yes.
And that's just, there's something beautiful about that.
Yes, there is. It has a healing element to it.
Oh, for sure. For sure. People who laugh and have a positive attitude, I believe, will live longer.
I hope so. Well, I'd like to give you time to tell everybody where to follow you. This is useless unless it helps you in some way, and people will get to know you. Now they need to follow you. So where on social media can people find you and support you?
You can find me on YouTube at just Bruce Leonard. There's my old DVD is there from the old days, and then there's some audio clips of my newer stuff. Of course, I have a lot of newer stuff. That was all the stuff that I recorded that right before I moved to Las Vegas. So that's all the stuff I brought with me. And then since I've been here, as you know, I've been writing all the time. I write new stuff all the time. I'm adding my repertoire has expanded, probably twofold since I've been here.
That's incredible. And then
So,
also, I want to tell you, my goodness sakes, I've been to your mics. I've seen you at mics and shows. I've never seen you be moody or unkind. I've never seen you do the underhanded. You're not part of the underbelly of comedy. You are always above the fray, kind, respectful. I want you to be noticed and known for what kind of human being you are among the comics. You're a comics comic.
Thank you. I try to be supportive.
You are.
To everyone.
I
don't.
So then at the end of this whole thing, there's the last question. You said you gave up your day job and you're going through Texas now. So anybody in Texas, he's coming. You got to book him. You got people coming in. People need to laugh. Him and Charlie Hester are going to be going through Texas together. They're incredibly funny. You got to book them. So the plan right now in Texas is, do you have some dates and places for people to get out and find you?
Right now, I only have December 3rd and 4th in El Paso. But in a couple days, I should get some more dates. I'm trying to set it up. So like I said, it'll be like a week or two. And I go all over. I'm trying to get to El Paso, San Antonio. Hopefully I get to Houston, maybe Dallas. But it's just in the early stages of setting up. But I'll have all that on my social medias, which is, like I said, you can find me on YouTube at Bruce Leonard. You can find me on Instagram at Bruce Leonard Comedy. You can find me on Twitter at Bruce Leonard 20. And you can find me on Facebook. I have a fan page called The Twisted Mind of Bruce Leonard. Wow. And then you can, if you want to follow me personally, it's Adam Chancellor, because I'm banned for life from Facebook.
Oh, that's incredible. Well, what I'm going to do when we get off of here is I'm going to type up my thoughts in about an hour. I'll type up my afterthoughts about this. Some of the links that I wrote down that I heard you say as fast as you rattled them off. Any that I missed or mistyped in any way, and your dates in Texas coming up. And anything, you hit me up and tell me what to correct and what to add, please.
Okay. I think I forgot one thing. Yes. Me and Charlie will be in San Clemente, California.
Okay.
Let me find a date. I believe it's November 16th, but I just want to make sure. 19th, November 19th.
Okay.
Me and Charlie will be in San Clemente.
Okay.
At a place called Knuckleheads.
Yeah. Wonderful. So anybody around San Clemente, he's going to be there. So get yourself to Knuckleheads. And if you have clubs around Knuckleheads, have him piggyback and him and Charlie and get on shows before and after that, so he can make the most out of that trip. Because we don't have a lot of money. So do it. You guys, thank you so much for listening to Comic Spot. Bruce Leonard and your doggies and Charlie Hester back there behind door number 1. Thank you so much. Love you guys.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, my pleasure. Thank you so much.
All right.